At the beginning of the film, we observe a commercial that describes America as the most good, fair, and perfect country. However, for any country, besides entertainment, actors, and other things, you need villains to unite the population. Such enemies become immigrants, who are constantly discussed in the news. The Americans want to build a wall on the border with Mexico. They consider the inhabitants of this country as invaders and criminals. Governor Finn believes he can solve this difficult problem once and for all. The action moves to the cafe where JP works. The guy is listening to music and cooking burgers when Nina suddenly calls him. The girl informs that she needs to urgently go to pick up her children and asks JP to cover for her. The guy agrees and goes off to take orders. JP has a quarrel with two racists who call him a Mexican. Soon Lily, the guy's sister, goes to the counter. Her friend casually mentions that the girl has been accepted to Columbia University. JP calls his mother, who works nearby in a chicken shop. The boy worries that Lily is traveling too far away. After work, JP decides to spend time with his good friend. Scott is happy that Lily is going to university because now they will be able to go to New York and look for adventures there. The guy returns home and is listening to music when Lily enters the room. The girl brags about going to college and offers to take a photo. JP notices a butterfly tattoo behind his sister's ear, but promises to keep quiet. During a celebratory dinner, Lily's mother makes a heartfelt speech to congratulate her daughter on entering university and the beginning of a new, amazing life. However, at the same second, people burst into the house. Immigration officials attack the guests and take Lily with them, despite her brother's protest. The next day, the news is full of a report that Governor Finn has ordered a major raid to find and incarcerate illegal immigrants. The man is also demanding that children of immigrants who were born in the US but not registered by their parents be detained as well. JP and his sister end up in just such prisons. The boy observes as Lily and a few other kids are taken away on a strange bus. Lisa, a liberal spokeswoman, reports that they have sent a complaint against the governor's decision to the Supreme Court, but it may be delayed. The woman suggests that JP get a job at a rich American nursing home, according to a special program to save himself from deportation and protect his family. The guy realizes he simply has no choice. The Chief Bruce informs those participating in the program that they will be wearing special sensors so that they don't try to escape. It is also forbidden to keep in touch with the outside world for a while. In addition to JP, the program is joined by liberal activist Camilla, the likable Misha, the anxious Chris, and narcissistic prankster Big Mac. A bus with them and the other guys arrives at the mansion where they are to work caring for the elderly. The teenagers constantly look around, observing the exquisite place. Later, they meet Eddie, the creator of the project, and their new supervisor. The man believes that there is a lot to learn and become an unforgettable experience in such a place. Cindy and James give the teens more direct instructions and keep an eye on them. JP learns that the complex has a heated pool, but the staff is not allowed to use it. Cindy and James also reveal that the most important thing in their job is to keep the patients from unnecessary anxiety and worry. Most of the time, the teens will be in the common room entertaining the elderly by reading or playing chess. At lunch, Big Mac complains about the food and reminisces about dishes from the cafe chain where JP used to work. The guy says it's better they don't know what the cutlets there are made of. During lunch, James approaches the teens and says it's time to get to work. JP approaches an elderly lady and doesn't know how to entertain her. Misha arrives and suggests that he just read to her. The guy does so, however the lady suddenly starts screaming and crying. Cindy gives her a strange injection, after which takes her away on a gurney. At dinner, Chris, who only eats home-cooked meals, tries to escape, however is caught by the guards. At night, JP wakes up from a strange noise and goes to the next room. There, the guy discovers a naked patient who is screaming for Virgil to free them. The orderlies take her away and advise JP to close the door at night. The next day, Eddie shows the teenagers the ward where the dementia patients are. To the surprise of the others, JP wants to work there. The guy is meeting James over a racist nickname when he is suddenly bitten on the arm. JP passes out, but asks his supervisor not to torture the old man who injured him. The guy has a dream about Lily that turns into a nightmare. JP gets up and realizes that Misha is next to him. They discuss how everyone else treats the patients like cattle instead of people. At lunch, the teens discuss where Chris has gone. Cindy walks up and says that he was sent back to prison. However, Big Mac shows the others the guy's inhaler and says that Chris would hardly have left without it. In the evening, the guy decides to show the film to one of the patients. However, Mr. Phillips suffers terrible cramps and becomes like a monster from a horror film. The next day, Eddie holds a meeting about it and says that experts have already started to study what happened to the patient. The man also shows JP his owl, which protects the local ecosystem from foreign birds. Eddie asks the guy to hug James. JP does so and stealthily steals the keys from his boss. Guy frees his friends and offers them a swim in the pool. JP manages to make contact with Misha, whom he likes. The girl invites him to her place, and they stay alone. In the morning, JP wakes up in bed with an elderly woman, but realizes that it is only a patient who has wandered into the wrong place. While at work, the guy again tries to have a conversation with an elderly lady named Greta. However, JP notices that she reacts to him strangely, and as if she is worried. Camilla says that she doesn't remember what happened after the pool. She also has a strange mark on her neck that looks like a puncture mark. At night, JP decides to sneak into Greta's room and talk to her. On her neck, he notices the same tattoo that his sister had. JP realizes that he is looking at the miraculously aged Lily. The boy tries to run away from the room, but James catches up with him and beats him. In the morning, the teens don't find JP. Big Mac suggests that he might have been taken somewhere, just like Chris. Together with Misha, the guy decides to check James' office. In a locked drawer, Big Mac discovers blueprints for a strange machine, as well as indications that Chris is in a solitary confinement cell. James returns to the office, but the teens manage to remain undetected. Soon, Big Mac makes his way outside and bolts in at James's request. The accident causes the boy to fall down along with the ladder. Camille yells for an ambulance to be called. However, Cindy thinks the guy will only have a couple of scratches. JP, meanwhile, regains consciousness and realizes that he has been left in a special room where they turn people into old men. At a special moment, a guy makes his way to the code door. JP guesses that the code to such a secret place is the name of Virgil the Owl. The guy leaves the hiding place and wanders the corridors. Meanwhile, James discovers a patient is missing. JP reaches the workshop, where he sees a strange mince-making machine. Meanwhile, Eddie sees the governor at his cafe. The man tells Finn that their new cutlets and mincemeat are much favored by customers. Eddie also mentions the cooking technology. It turns out that the imprisoned immigrants are aged with a special substance, and the special ingredients make their meat softer and more delicious. When the elderly die, they are completely grinding into mincemeat, which is then used to make cutlets. Governor Finn laughs, pleased that his idea has proved to be commercially lucrative and almost costless. JP, meanwhile, tries to get out and runs into Misha. The boy tries to explain to her what Eddie and his henchmen are doing to the teens. However, Misha turns out to be a traitor and injects the guy with a sedative. JP comes to his senses while bound to a wheelchair. Eddie is sitting right opposite him. The man calls immigrants second class, who for a pittance are willing to do any job that disgusts normal Americans. They take advantage of the cheap labor of those who come from other countries and are eager to stay in an opportunity-driven America. However, after automation, cheap immigrant labor has become unnecessary, and they themselves can now be used as raw materials. Meanwhile, Big Mac, who has come to his senses, escapes from the hospital room and helps Camille free herself from the bracelet. Misha takes JP back to the chair, where he will be injected with hormones. The girl says that immigrants are a meal, and by injecting them, you just have to wait for it to cook. Camille is soon caught too and sent for a forced aging procedure. JP talks to the girl and tells her that they must escape. In the evening, when James, Cindy, and Misha arrive, the old men who have turned against them stage an attack. JP escapes, but is attacked by Bruce. Luckily, the guy is interceded for by Big Mac, who comes crawling up the vent. Big Mac stays with the old men to continue destroying the guards. Meanwhile, JP, his sister, and Camille try to escape from the asylum. JP runs into Eddie, who decides to destroy him with a mincemeat machine. However, with the help of Lily and Camille, the machine is hit by Eddie himself, reasoning that Americans are the strongest and most intelligent race of all. Having finished with the man, JP, along with his sister and Camille, waddle towards the exit. They sit down on a bench and cover their eyes as they watch the sunrise. Big Mac finds the guys and starts to wake them up. But it is too late, because his friends have already left this world. Big Mac cries, but it turns out that they were only playing a trick on him. After a while, everyone talks about Eddie's shocking act of literally letting the immigrants go to meet. All the governor's cafes close, and he himself flees and escapes from the country. Scientists are trying to figure out how to restore youth to prematurely aged teenagers. This is the end of the film. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Give this video a like. Write in the comments what you think about this film, and see you in new videos.